How are you, Sophie?
Good, how are you?
Good. So I'm here with Sophie Nélisse for Irena's Vow. I don't know how do you pronounce it. Is it Irena's Vow, or Irena, or Irena's Vow?
I think it's Irena for English, and I would say Irena, but again,
Yeah.
Irena's great.
So look, you've been getting asked this question a lot, but as far as literature and research for this real life person and the actual event, did you have a lot of stuff to work on as far as building your character and building the narrative as well? Did you have a lot of research to go on?
Yeah, obviously this is based on a real life woman, so I definitely wanted to give a very accurate representation of who she was. I was able to find a lot of documentation. There's archives about her in her 60s doing interviews, and I only found photos of her in her 20s. Obviously, there are no interviews. And then there's this autobiography that I read, and I spoke to one of her great friends who's still alive, whose name is Dan Gordon. And he told me a little bit about how she was as a person and how full of light she was and kind of how they met. And then I had to work with a dialect coach to nail down the Polish accent.
Is it movie magic? Because a lot of the narrative is set in the house. It's a really interesting house. Were there different interior shots, or was everything in that really confined but very big space? Can you just talk about all of those elements?
It was actually all in this huge villa that was it was a location that was about an hour out of Poland, in Poland still, but like out of the city center. And it was built years ago, and there's just like it's so grand and so impressive when you step in. And I mean, you could tell by like the walls and the painting that's kind of like shriveled, and that there's like this essence and this realness to the building. And it's abandoned now, but it has all these like multiple rooms. And yeah, so we shot everything in there apart from the cellar, which was like actually like built, like the actual little room was built. But that was crazy because they would like, so there would be no daylight. They would like lock us in there. They would like shut the door, and we'd kind of be like, a lot of the actors got really claustrophobic because it's pretty tight, and there was all this like dust and dirt, and we would like have so much dirt up our, like when I would blow my nose, it was disgusting. And it added to that sense of like we felt so cramped that it felt very real. And yeah, just being able to shoot in Poland was such a treat because the city holds so much history and so much depth to it that I felt very lucky to be able to use that to get into character.
Did you have time to actually explore and the location and have free time to yourself? Because this is a very intense movie, and I'm assuming that I don't know how long the shoot days were. Was it all about you were staying at a place and then going to work and then going back home, or were you able to actually breathe a little bit and explore?
It was definitely a very crazy shoot. We would work crazy hours, and I would get back to my hotel at like midnight and be back on set by 6 the next morning. It was crazy, but I had my weekends at least. I will have to say I was pretty tired on my weekends. It was really nice though because I had my mom who was there with me, and she's just my like biggest emotional support, and she's like my best friend. And it's so nice to have someone that is around you and that brings you that support, but without you feeling the need to like, it's not as if I have a friend that I need to like entertain. So on weekends, we would just like walk around the city a lot. We wanted to go to one of the concentration camps, but there were no tickets available. And also that would have been a little depressing on the weekend when I have 2 days off to go back in that space. But we did a few road trips. My mom and I like to do that. We'll rent a car and we'll like go on a road trip for a weekend. So we did that, which was very helpful to kind of like put work behind me, at least for the weekend.
I was checking out some of your interviews for this movie, and Dougray Scott, who you have some great scenes with. He was talking about in between takes, you'd always roast him, and I thought that was very interesting because then you added that it's very easy for you to get in and out of character. So my question to you is, roasting and just having a good time with your fellow cast and crew, is that a big part of why you enjoy the filming process? And then where did you find that facility to actually go in and out as opposed to being in method throughout the entire production? Is that a talent you easily picked up, or was that just innate in you already?
On the contrary, I wish I was more method because I feel like I would be a better actor if I was. because I don't ever feel like I become a character. I've never had that feeling. Like it's a very actor thing to be like I become someone, and I've never had that feeling. I don't know what that would feel like, but so I guess I just do the scene how I think it should be done, and then they call cut, and I'm like, I'm like myself again, and yeah, so it's just who I am, and yes, I mean this one specifically does hold a little bit more weight when I come home, but usually, yeah, any crying scene, as soon as like the scene is over, I'm playful and bubbly again, and especially with this, it does get so heavy that I think it is important to keep somewhat of a light atmosphere on set, and I'm a very, I think that's what I love about my job is that it doesn't feel like a job when you're on set. It's like a playground and you get to like have fun with other actors and it's like you're at work, but you're like pranking each other and you're going behind the monitor and you're pranking the director and it just feels like day camp. That's how I see it at least. And so yeah, I definitely would laugh a lot with Louise, the director, and to Gray, which he was a little more method. And I think maybe sometimes he wasn't so focused because I was next to him pulling faces. But yeah, we had a lot of fun.
On that day camp, the element, I remember over a decade ago, you started a movie that I need to rewatch, but I remember at the time I really loved Monsieur Lazhar, I believe.
Yeah.
I just wonder if such quality projects like that, when you were much younger, did they help influence you on the path you are today as an actor? Or am I overshooting that theory? Because I would assume being a part of something so special inspired you to go to where you are today and continue that acting path.
Yeah, I think I've been extremely lucky with the projects that I've been offered and that I've gotten. Um, I was very lucky to start with Monsieur Lazhar that got such a wide success, and it definitely put me on the map for more indie things and opened the doors to like the United States. And so I've definitely been offered very interesting projects along the way, and I think I also try to choose them as wisely as possible. But at the end of the day, I think I'm just, yeah, I just love trying new things and I love experimenting and I want to have a career that's as diversified as possible. And I would like to try some comedy and rom-coms or like action movie because I have a background of gymnastics. I love anything it requires some sort of physicalness to it. And I love doing stunts and so yes, I definitely think it's like set the bar high for like the quality and the level of projects that I choose. And because I've had the chance to work with like such amazing directors that they all set the bar so high that whenever I choose a project, I'm definitely very aware of who I'm working with. But yeah, I think it's a mixture of a lot of different components when I decide to take a project on.
Final couple of questions. First off, I apologize for not ever seeing Yellowjackets. It's so critically acclaimed. So the road question is, when is season 3 coming around? And what do people like me who haven't seen it, what are we missing from this entire world that you are a part of?
Well, so we're going back to shoot season 3 in a month, which I'm very excited for. And so it should be released, I would think, beginning of 2025, I'm guessing. And it's a really thrilling show. It's so fun. I think it has so many nuances. I think it goes through horror and like psychological thriller, but as well it has some very like comedic beats to it. It's a very dark kind of humor, but I think it's just really fun because we get to explore these women in a light that we've never seen them before. And I think a lot of roles that are for females are very one note or they're not very nuanced. And I think in this, we see them at their best and at their worst. And we see women do things that we've never really seen them do on TV before. And they fight each other. And it's just, it feels so raw and real and grounded. And it's such an honest show, but brings you on like such a roller coaster of emotions. And yeah, I think it's just a really fun show to watch.
The final question is a two-parter. The first part of this question is, can you name one of your all-time favorite films? And what is it about this specific movie that still resonates with you? And the second part of that question is, from your own body of work, can you name a movie or TV series project that you've been part of that you would like our listeners to watch and that you feel is underrated? And thank you for your time.
Wow, I have so many favorite films. I do love It's so hard. I love What's Eating Gilbert Grape. I think DiCaprio's performance in it is to have done that at such a young age. I literally have no words. I think is I can't understand it. I don't know where he gets it from. But one that I actually watch more than once is Prisoners. I'm such a fan of Denis Villeneuve. He's from Montreal. He's the sweetest man, and I think all the actors in it are so great. And I think I love that movie because every time I watch it back, I pick up on different details, and I love an ending where it's up to the audience to kind of decide where they stand. And I think that the finale of that movie, I to this day, it's up to you to decide what you want to believe will happen. And so I love that. Also, it's like my biggest fear to be kidnapped. It's like my biggest fear ever. So it's a very triggering movie for me as well. And then what was it? My favorite performance, my favorite
Oh,
movie that I've done.
or just a movie that you feel is underrated from your resume that you would like our listeners to watch. So,
There's this movie that I did called Mean Dreams that went to Cannes a few years back that I think is really beautiful. It's like a coming of age between two teenagers that fall in love, and I play the girl of Cassie, I think. Can't remember, but her father is abusive and an alcoholic, and the boy that she falls in love with tries to save her, and it's just a beautiful story, and it's again a bit of a thriller, and they kind of like run away together, but they're being chased down by the dad, but it's just such a honest and pure kind of love that they have for each other. And
I've seen that movie. I
yeah,
remember it. It is
yeah, it's
so
good.
it that I remember actually reviewing it, and I feel that that's such an underrated film. Have
Yeah, it's a
you?
good one. I don't know
Have,
why I didn't. Yeah.
yeah, have you had over the years people who love your work? Have they approached you about that movie? Because that's such a real great film, actually.
Yeah, not really. And it's surprising because, like I said, it went to Cannes. I mean, it went to like I don't know how you say it in English, but like Cannes and Zatar, which is like yeah. But and everyone all of my friends that have seen it were like, I love this movie, but for some reason it just didn't really. I don't know if on the publicity front we didn't really promote it that well. I don't know what happened, but everyone that's watched it has really liked it. So
That's a great film. This is a great film as well. Rena's Vow. Thank you so much for your time,
thank
Sophie,
you
and
so much to you.
hope to talk to you for the next one.
Hopefully.
Pleasure.